Hi, my name is Kathleen Lugerich, and I'm the Director of Programs and Education for the Army Historical Foundation and your host for Army Artifacts, a program that shows you that Army history can be found anywhere. Today, my guest is Ashley Webb, who is the Curator of Collections and Exhibitions for the Historical Society of Western Virginia, which manages the Roanoke History Museum and the Winston Link Museum in Roanoke, Virginia. Ashley, thank you for joining me today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So today, Ashley and I are going to be talking about a Medal of Honor in their collections that has, at the time of this recording in February, been selected as one of the artifacts up for conservation funding as part of Virginia's top 10 endangered artifacts. But first, before we get into that, Ashley, can you tell us a little bit about the Historical Society and the museums?
Sure. So we're kind of an interesting case. We're a bit of a hybrid museum. The Historical Society is the parent organization for two other museums. So we've got the Roanoke History Museum and the Winston Link Museum. The Roanoke History Museum started in 1958 out of Roanoke's Diamond Jubilee. And then in 2004, the Winston Link Museum opened in the old Norfolk and Western passenger station. And that details photographs of 1950s nighttime train photography by photographer, New York photographer Winston Link. So two museums under one roof telling two very different stories. So
Thanks, Ashley. Now, getting into the medal, we're talking about Virginia's top 10 endangered artifacts. This is a program that's managed by the Virginia Association of Museums that was originally funded at the Institute of Museum Library Services grant program. It identifies significant endangered artifacts at libraries, archives, and museums throughout Virginia and DC area for conservation. The program has been such a success. It's been replicated in multiple other states, and past programs have helped digitize original records, correspondence for public access, and restored various items, including flags, coats, tombstones, photographs, lots of different objects that may have been lost to the public had they not been conserved and received that little extra help. Now, Ashley, why did the Historical Society nominate this Medal of Honor?
This medal has such significance to the Covington community, which is about an hour away from Roanoke. And it's an important artifact not only for our collection, for the Covington community, but it's also very important in terms of the Vietnam War. Lieutenant Miller was one of 6 Virginians to receive the Medal of Honor for Vietnam, which is a very big deal. And at the end of 2023, the Virginia Museum of History and Culture in Richmond actually reached out to us about having it on exhibition in their November 2024 exhibit on the Vietnam War. And as you can see, the previous mounting of the medal caused unsightly damage to the silk veil of the ribbon. It doesn't look so bad from the front, but when you look at the back of the ribbon, it is way, way worse. And we want to continue to honor Lieutenant Miller and his bravery. And if the medal continues as is, we're not being good stewards for that. So we want to be able to have it conserved so it can remain, in his honor for bravery and all of that.
Now, can you tell us a little bit more about Lieutenant Miller?
Sure. So Lieutenant Miller was a Covington native. Again, that's a small city in Allegheny County, and that is about an hour west of Lexington, Virginia. He attended Covington High School. He was interested in science and architecture. He had a paper route. He was a Boy Scout, and he was a wrestler in high school. After graduating high school, he attended Clifton Forge Covington Community College, and that is now known as Dabney S. Lancaster Community College. At the time, it was an offshoot of Virginia Tech. And so that was from 1965 to 1966. And then in 1967, he enlisted in Roanoke for the U.S. Army. And I actually just learned that his father was actually an Army technical sergeant during World War II. And he was stationed in Italy and Africa. So he followed his father's footsteps and enlisted in serving for his country.
Now, why did Lieutenant Miller receive the Medal of Honor?
So this is a bit of a heavy story, but Lieutenant Miller was serving as a platoon leader for the Infantry Company A in Binh Duong province of South Vietnam. He led an evening reconnaissance patrol on February 16th, 1969, and after breaking contact with hostile forces to search for enemy casualties. During this patrol, they were attacked, and Lieutenant Miller was wounded. They continued to fight, and fortunately, someone from the opposing side threw a grenade into the patrol. And Lieutenant Miller threw himself onto the grenade, absorbing the explosion, and ultimately sacrificed his life for the members of his patrol, saving them from serious injury or death. And as a result of his bravery and selflessness, he was awarded, or his family was awarded, the Congressional Medal of Honor in 1970.
Oh
And while
my.
this is an extremely emotional story, I feel like his actions really capture what it means to be a Medal of Honor recipient, going above and beyond the call of duty to protect our freedom. And this is a story of an ordinary person like you or me, who made an extraordinary choice, a choice of selfless bravery, made in an instant without hesitation. So,
Wow. That's a lot to take in. I
yeah.
mean, you hear about, you see those things in movies all the time, but, someone who could be your neighbor doing something that's selfless,
Hmm.
it's really hard to hear, but
Yeah.
it really does emulate what the Medal of Honor recipient is, and also emulates a lot of the members of our military and what they hold dear, why they serve, and
Hmm.
why uh, soldiers and sailors and Marines, they all consider each other brothers and sisters in arms, and it's
Hmm.
really touching.
And
And,
it's definitely an emotional story, and
mhm,
we really appreciate that we are the recipient to further his
mhm.
bravery, and we just want to make sure that we're doing right by his family and by him and his sacrifice.
And I think you are. And I mean, this contest alone will bring so much attention just to, your museum, but the Medal of Honor and his story, especially as one
Mhm.
of only 6 Virginians to have received it.
Yeah.
And for those of people who are watching, most of us know what the Medal of Honor is. It's the highest award for acts of valor, humanity, patriotism, sacrifice. And since its inception, 3,517 individuals have been acknowledged for their bravery and sacrifice with the Medal of Honor. And 2,467 of those are from the U.S. Army, like Lieutenant Miller. There are 63 living recipients currently, and there's also 19 double recipients. And fun fact about the National Museum of the United States Army, since Lieutenant Miller was a soldier, his name is actually inscribed in our Medal of Honor garden on our wall that recognizes all U.S. Army soldiers who have received the Medal of Honor. So whenever you visit, you can come up to the 3rd floor and find his name, reflect on him, and all the Medal of Honor recipients who came before and after him.
That's awesome.
So it's hard to switch gears from that topic. But Ashley, what does the Historical Society have coming up that people should learn about and check out your website for?
Yeah, sure. So we have two major things going on. One is a Winston Link Museum related. So we're celebrating our 20th anniversary this year. So we are going to have a number of summer events with a big street festival. It's called Celebration at the Station. Hopefully, we're going to pull out the 1218 locomotive, the 611 locomotive, and really celebrate Link and all of his photographs in the area. The second thing is the American Revolution. So in January of 2025, we are going to be
Mhm.
celebrating the signing of the Fincastle Resolutions, which kind of kicked off everything with the revolution on the western side of the state. So we're going to be doing three new exhibits, lots of programming with that. So stay tuned for that as well.
Oh, that's great. I was just going to ask him, like, what were you doing in the 250th for the American Revolution?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I hope you guys are on the website, VA 250.
Not yet. We're working on getting
Okay.
some funding together for that, but we are in the process of creating the proposal to get on that. So yeah.
Oh, great. Well, lots of reasons to visit Roanoke. I've driven through it, I've stopped by it a few times, and some people may recognize the Roanoke Star that's in the Blue Ridge Mountains because it sits right above the town.
Yeah, yeah.
But
And you can
Roanoke's a really
actually,
nice place to go.
yeah, it's amazing. If you like hiking, if you like the outdoors,
Hmm.
we've got a lot of great cultural events, museums, and things like that. Plus, downtown is just really, really cute. And if you come to the museum, so we're just on the outskirts of downtown, but you can
Hmm.
see Mill Mountain and the Star. You can see we have a big Dr. Pepper sign that's neon lights. And then we're just across the tracks from the Taubman Museum of Art. So lots of fun things to do in Roanoke.
Dr. Pepper from Roanoke?
Yeah, so one individual who claimed the 10 and 2, he's from Roanoke. So we have a Dr.
Okay.
Pepper at 10, you have a Dr. Pepper at 2. I don't know.
Well, Ashley, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me again. I really appreciate it.
So I want to thank Ashley for sharing the story of the museum, Lieutenant Miller, and his Medal of Honor, especially since she and I connected in the midst of voting, in the midst of her traveling with the medal for conservation efforts, in the midst of all of these things happening. She agreed to this. So I want to thank her for that. This video will not be out in time for you to vote for the Medal of Honor, but you can go to the Virginia Association of Museums website for the top 10 endangered artifacts, and you can see the results. And we'll do our best to update the video as well to make sure you know what happens. But if you're in the Richmond area in the coming year, you'll be able to see Lieutenant Miller's Medal of Honor in person at that museum. And if you'd like to learn more about the Historical Society of Western Virginia and its museums in Roanoke, you can visit their website at roanokehistory.org. If you like this episode, please click like and subscribe. And you can also support our programming and the foundation by donating at www.armyhistory.org. Thank you for watching.